Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we've got a kit from East Germany during the Cold War days when it was part of the Soviet bloc. It's a 1980 kit made by VEB Plasticart. It's the Soviet MIL Mi-4. A NATO code name was Hound for this helicopter. It was a Soviet-era helicopter, and I believe the East Germans also produced this in their own factories as well. So, unique kit from original mold from 1964. So this is an older kit from the Eastern Bloc days. Before we get into it, just a quick reminder, if you've got some photographs of vintage models that you've built, especially if they're of one of the ones that we've covered on our channel, definitely send those in. We're trying to complete our next viewer build video. So if you've got some images of kits that you've built that kind of fit into the style of this channel, definitely send them in. Little video clips will be good, and any information about the kit when you built it. And if you've got a YouTube channel or something you'd like to promote, definitely include that information. The email address is in the channel description, so you can go ahead and send those in. That would be fantastic. So this kit was part of a series of kits that were produced from the same company that was around for quite a number of years. It started out as a VEB KVZ from 1958 to 1969. Then they became VEB MPKAB from 69 to 73. And then they ended up being this Plasticart, the VEB Plasticart from 73 to 89, with the dissolving of the Eastern Germany and Germany becoming reunified. And the company ended up dissolving finally in 1993. They did go by the name Master Model for a short while after the merging of East and West Germany again, reunification. But they kind of disappeared shortly after that in 1993. So in doing a little bit of research, it's kind of interesting to find out that the VEB was a name given to a lot of these small kind of companies that were producing products specifically for export. VEB, stood for a company owned by the people, and these companies were created as a way of East Germany being able to get foreign hard currency by producing some cheap exportable products, and then they would be able to get British pound sterling, French francs, U.S. dollars that they could then use to buy other stuff around the world, because the East German money wasn't really being exchanged around the world. So this was part of this grander scheme of selling cheap products to get hard currency from foreign countries that could be used on the foreign market. So that's where this company came from, and they did produce a number of other aircraft, mostly Eastern Bloc Soviet era aircraft in either 100 scale or 1/172nd. They did produce a couple of Western ones. I did see a DC-8, a British trijet. So there were a couple of Western aircraft, but for the most part, it was all Eastern European, Soviet bloc, aircraft. So let's take a look at the kit itself. So the kit number is listed as being 1506, but I didn't see that anywhere on the box itself. And nowhere does it say what the scale is on here, but it is supposed to be 1/100th is what it scales out to. So very, very simple artwork on the cover. It is a lithograph that's been glued onto a box. You have a signature from the artist on here, but was not able to locate who that was. This at some point was sold for $9 something, so I don't know if this was $9. £9, 9 francs. I don't know what that is supposed to be. But then we've got on the side, we've got some information on some of the other ones that they make, the Mi-1, the Mi-4, the name of the company in a couple of different languages. Other side, we've got an L60, a Mi-21. Interesting, a Saab J35, that we just covered a couple of days ago. And Mi-4 in big letters, Mi-4 on this end, and simple kind of silhouette of the Mi-4 here. And we do have some information on the bottom for DDR. And let's take a look at what we got. So you can see the lithograph wrapped around and glued on the box. And we've got a set of instructions. Now this kit, when I purchased it, it did have this tissue inside, and I do not know if this is how the kit was actually produced or if this is something that somebody added to it at some point, but I've left it in there because it does fit and keep the parts from moving around. So we do have an instruction sheet here, written in German. It's like they list a number of other kits that they produce. It's just real cheap paper, kind of manila paper that we used to use in school. And you got a call out for every single part in this one drawing. And then you do have all the parts laid out with, again, the numbers pointing out to every part. And then you do have a listing telling you what each one of those parts are. And then here, I assume, is the actual assembly instructions. And they are written in a few different languages. I think that might be Russian, that might be Czech or Polish, and Czech or Polish. Yeah. Let me know in the comment section if it's not Czech or Polish on either one of those. There's this little warning slip that's inside here, and it does have some English on this one here. Again, repetitive languages. And here we get a decal sheet. So the main decal set here is for a East German aircraft that flew with Interflug. You get some stars for the Russians, roundels there for Czech, and then the checkerboard for Poland. So you do have some options for other markings, but nothing else to add to the other countries. So I did do a little bit of research on this. This particular DMSPE actually did exist, and it was flown by Interflug. And I did find that on 13 May in 1965, I was doing a test flight with 3 occupants. I assume the pilot, co-pilot, and probably a crew chief or some sort of test person. And when it was taking off, it fell back to the ground while it was still hovering. Ended up rolling over, and it ended up killing 2 people on the ground. And the helicopter was a complete write-off. So kind of interesting that they would, in 1980, this is new box art for 1980, that they would put an aircraft that had been destroyed in 1965 in, not the best circumstances as their box cover on this. So I was able to source a couple of photographs of this, surprisingly. So I'll post those for you now so you can see the original aircraft. Okay, so now let's get into the kit here. So the first thing we're going to look at are going to be the blades. These are molded in black. And with some sort of like rib-like structure on here. Little trim tabs. And interesting, it's just a little flat surface to attach to the hub. There's no pin, there's no nothing. So very simple construction on it. Then we have the fuselage pieces and halves. You get locator pins, that helps. Very heavy framework for the cockpit area. You do have openings for the very small windows, door. As you can see, very large rivet detail on it. You have these louvers for probably where the engine's at. No interior whatsoever. No, these interior detail, I should say. So probably simple kit. Ejector pin markings are on the inside, which is nice. And doesn't look like there's much for sinkholes, so that's pretty good. That's your fuselage. And let's see what else we got. So we got one additional tree of parts. Got your nose piece there. Looks like your door. This might be a fuel tank for the inside. You got your landing gear parts, wheels, antennas, tiny little pilot guys. Not much for them. Additional small parts, tail rotor, tail fins, and then the main hub and rotor blades. Very simple looking. And again, you're just gluing those, you know, flat onto there. No connection of any sort other than just that flat surface. So kind of not the best way of doing that, but hey, if you're trying to make an Mi-4, this is about the only game in town at the time. You have your clear pieces here. Super thick. Barely see through it. Then you do have all the little itty bitty windows. Surprisingly, I mean, they're giving you these itty bitty tiny little windows to put in some of those. It's almost not even worth it. But that is it. So not a whole lot to this kit. But interesting to see, you know, what an Eastern European kit looked like from the 60s. So this kit was, as I mentioned before, you know, was kind of reboxed a few times through the different various names of the same company. So the original one was in 1964 with that VEB KVZ. There's another boxing of it in 1970 by that MPKAB, and then this particular, you know, boxing in 1980. There was another version of this in 86 by the same VEB Plasticart, just different markings, different box art, and then you get a 1989 one after the merging when they changed their name to the Master Model. There was another 80s issue of this kit under the name of Newbie, which I was able to source as being an importer name for the UK market. So the UK was some company in the UK was bringing these kits in, changing the name to Newbie, N-U-B-E-E, and that was sometime in the 80s. And then the final issue after the Master Model company finally went belly up in 93. It appears that a Polish company got a hold of the molds, reissued a few of the other ones from the series of those kits in 1995, and that's the end of it. I was not able to source any other issues of this kit after that point. So that's about it for today. Again, yeah, if you've built this model or built one of the kits from this company, from this era, you know, definitely let us know about it. If you got any pictures of any models you built from these guys, you know, absolutely send those in so we can post them up on our viewer build. And if you got any other, you know, vintage model kits you want to share with us to see, send those in as well too. Again, the email address is in the channel description. And that's about it for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great rest of your day.